So, one of the things that victims of abuse really, really hate is the time it takes to heal. And the reason why victims of abuse hate the time it takes to heal is because they usually just want to be healed, skip the healing part, go straight to the I'm healed part. And then, okay, now I'm healed. I can go live my life. Everything's going to be amazing. Beep, boop, beep, moving on. Uh, however, however, you can't skip the healing part. Trust me, I've tried. Many victims of abuse have tried as well. And what ends up happening when you skip the healing part is that you end up often in a equally bad or worse situation. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a romantic relationship. It could be literally you've now gone to a shitty job workplace, or you're in a terrible friendship, or it could be that like you were dealing with your parents and you got out of that and you're like, oh, whoo, now I can go live my life. And then now you're suddenly in a shitty job with a shitty partner and shitty friends. And it's like, well, how did this happen? Well, how it happened is we didn't take time to heal. So when you are in a position, you're faced with like, oh, it's going to take years to heal. I don't want to do that. I just want to like learn it, be healed, move on. The thing is that learning information doesn't change us. It is only over time as we integrate that information, as we practice using it, as we then just sort of, get a handle on our grief, get a handle on our anger, all of those things that we might be feeling as a result of the situation, to slowly get to become a person who that trauma then that occurred is not the thing that defines us anymore. So unfortunately, when you are not healed and you think, "Oh, well I'll just connect with other people who have trauma and need healing." And then we'll all heal each other, either in a relationship or a friendship or friend group or something. Maybe I'll choose a job where I go into that job and there's a lot of healing in that job. I therefore then will also be healed and I will help people heal and the healing will be. And it doesn't work that way. The reason it doesn't work that way is because often when you're unhealed, you're also not necessarily stable or safe. What a terrible thing to know. um, so, as you know, it's essentially like if you've broken your leg, you have to stabilize the leg so that the leg, as it grows back together, the bond that it makes between the one side and the other part of the bone is able to heal in a way where it's straight, and it won't cause further injury down the road. So unintentionally, many victims of abuse are compounding the stuff they have to heal from by trying to escape the healing process. Because again, who wants to sit there for multiple years healing? That seems dumb. Like, why? Why can't we just decide and do it? And now we've moved on to the next fabulous phase of our life. And like so many things in life that I have learned, the theory doesn't match how it actually works out for human beings. There's this process of healing from abuse where you decenter the abuser, where you start to recenter yourself, where you're now going over everything that happened in the relationship and you're putting it in context of reality because you've been gaslit and have also gaslit yourself into not believing that what was true was true. And so you have to completely get reoriented back to reality, back to who you are, but also who you are has been harmed. So who you are needs a chance to heal. And also, when we are, when we have an open wound, even physically, you have to protect the wound so that there's not further damage that's occurring to you, your body. And and what I would like to say is that when you're healing and this feels onerous, like this sucks, like why do I have to do this? Time is a gift. It doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like it stretches endlessly in front of you without the goal of which you want to achieve. However, when you are in that healing place, you are building, you're practicing, you're learning, you're becoming, things are happening organically. when you try to force the healing or bypass the healing. And also, this happens, by the way, in spiritual contexts as well. In the kind of spiritual community that I grew up in, it would be called spiritual bypassing. So instead of dealing with your like intrinsic internal trauma, you just, oh, I've had a spiritual catharsis and I don't have to deal with this because I'm a star seed, whatever. So when you bypass that healing part, instead of sitting with your feelings and reorienting how you're thinking, and then also centering yourself back inside of yourself versus this person who's harmed you, centering the experiences that you are now having versus this thing that happened to you. If you go into a relationship dynamic and you're unhealed, the relationship becomes about the thing you haven't healed from for everybody. And then if there's two of you, we're doing it at each other. And if it's a group, I will tell you that friend group is going to be the most unstable, hot mess friend group that ever there did see. Like it just, so it doesn't mean you have to be a hermit for the time that you're healing. But what it does mean is that as you're healing, your relationships that you're having are not ones that you are bringing into your core very, very quickly. You're not only taking time to heal, but you're taking time to get to know people. And I know we hate that because everything right now is optimized for the internet, the online, let me put in an application. Oh, here's my, what is a dating profile other than your resume, essentially? Here's my age, qualifications, things that I'm looking for this job description. And then the person reading it is going, oh, well, maybe I fit these job descriptions and let me put in my application. And when you optimize for metrics, then the metrics become the thing you think is most important when it's not. It's an indication, piece of information. It's a data point, but it's not the end all be all. So just because someone is looking to date and another person is also looking to date, and you apparently have things that match in terms of the algorithm, it doesn't mean that this is the right person for you. Back in ye olden times, the way you would find out was you would just be out in public doing things, usually in a community, and you would observe people over time and you would learn about them versus, oh, I have this person that we've hearted each other or we've upvoted each other, whatever it is. And then, oh, now we've started talking. Things seem good. We planned the date. We're going to go on this date. And now I've thought about like, oh, what kind of life could we be living together? Let me tell you something. The universe, God, whoever has a sense of humor. When you don't want to date is when the perfect person is going to walk in the door. Like when it's inconvenient to your life. When you've got stuff going on, that is when you will attract the exact person who is the person for you often. I'm not saying 100%, but that seems to be how that goes, where you are most yourself, most living your life, doing the things that make you light up in this world, most contributing out into the world and something about that. So if you're in a spiritual tradition, it'll be like, oh, it's law of attraction. If you're Christian or an Abrahamic religion, it might be bone of my bone, whatever it is. There's something about when you are doing the thing that only you can do, and you are lit up from the inside and you have so much passion. That's when someone shows up. And the thing is, you're busy. You're busy. Like, why would I want to do this right now? I have other things that I'm working on. It's when two people are partners and they're moving forward in this life because they both have shit they're doing. A lot of abusers don't have stuff that they're doing. That's why they get obsessive about the victim. And they'll make the victim obsessed about them. So now everybody's unstable, and it didn't need to be this way. So ironically, the less you are interested in the relationship, the more you're interested in, I'm accomplishing this thing in the world, and now I have a person to do that with. You're outward facing, and you happen to be supporting each other. You end up having like most amazing relationship. I don't know why. Someone has a sense of humor is all I'm going to say, I think. So the other nice thing too is the thing about time, and I mentioned this in the other video, is that when you have time, when you exist in time, that means You have choices. You have the ability to choose. Therefore, you have power and autonomy. It's not fated. You're not twin flames. You are not soulmates. This is not a thing that you have to do. You get to choose. Because if you exist in time, there's cause and effect. If there's cause and effect, that means people can make decisions that have outcomes. If you can make decisions that have outcomes, that means you have decisions to make. That is where our power lies. Our power lies in our ability to make decisions and to continue to make those decisions. So any person or system that attempts to prevent you from having the ability to make decisions for yourself is intrinsically going to be one that's coercive. Now, why do we set up those systems? In a romantic context, it might be because we think that that is what love is. Oh, I've made a decision to love you. I will never leave you. I will be here no matter what you do. No, that's not love. That's not love. Love is, are we patient? Are we kind? Love is, are we loving? And so, theoretically speaking, you can say, oh, okay, I'm in a marriage with you, but I don't have to stay here for this. I'm not helping you by sticking around so that you can abuse me. That is not a good thing for you in your soul. We're not going to do that. So as you realize, oh, I get to make choices. I have power to make a decision. That's when you get to be in a place where that time is protective. Now, that said, not every victim of abuse is in a position where they can make a choice. Often the net of the abuse comes in, and the event horizon of your ability to choose sometimes occurs, so that once you're past that point, you're out of choices. But what I'm saying is that you should have the ability to choose. That is something that should be intrinsic to who you are and how you exist in the world. And if you don't have the ability to make decisions on your own behalf, if you can't walk out the door and decide what you're going to do with yourself, then you're not in a place that is a safe place for you to be. Anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I'll talk to you next time.